Welcome to the 53rd season of the National Football League. Scores of fans all over the country have been anxiously awaiting this opening day, and none more so than here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where long-suffering Steeler fans feel they finally have a winner. Chuck Noll's team swept through a successful preseason, led by star, toothless Terry Bradshaw. But just as important as Bradshaw's maturation is that Pittsburgh has a horde of good young ball players to grow with their quarterback. In fact, many experts have made the Steelers the favorites in their division. Oakland's John Madden has a different dilemma. He has 3 quarterbacks capable of starting, and none has taken charge during the preseason. There's ancient George Blanda, who is celebrating his 45th birthday today. Nearly 20 years younger is Ken Stabler, who has emerged as the probable starter. But then, too, there's the oft-injured, sometime brilliant Darryl LaMonica, waiting in the wings for his chance. So 4 quarterbacks were in the spotlight as a full house in Pittsburgh's gleaming Three Rivers Stadium waited for the NFL to open a new bag of tricks and mark the beginning of a spanking new season. New players, new coaches, a few rule changes, but most of all, a new chance for 26 teams to win their division and conference titles and go on to the Super Bowl. Chuck Beatty's interception on the tip pass gave the Steelers another chance, this time in Raider territory. But as their fans urged them onward, the turnover tournament persisted. End zone, the turnovers abated, and the Steeler defense took over. Defense is a question mark concerning this Steeler team, but it's pass defense, not the ground defense. Oakland simply had no room to run. This was not unexpected, for led by number 75, Joe Green, the Steeler ground defense did not give up a single touchdown in 6 preseason games. Today, the Oakland Raiders found out why. Mean Joe Green is the veteran, and he's only 25. Flanking him is third-year man L.C. Greenwood, sophomore Dwight White, number 78, and rookie tackle Ernie Holmes, number 63. They are supported by All-Pro and captain Andy Russell, young Jack Ham, and Henry Davis at the linebacker positions. Unable to move at all against the Gold and Black, Oakland was forced to punt. But again, the Pittsburgh defense made the big play. Middlebacker Henry Davis, number 53, blocked the punt and ran it in for the first score of the game. Davis, a 5-year veteran from Grambling, came to the Steelers from the New York Giants 3 years ago, along with Frenchie Fuqua, in exchange for quarterback Dick Shiner. With Davis anchoring the linebacking core and Fuqua, the Steelers' best runner, the trade was a windfall for Pittsburgh. A look at this play from our slow-motion camera reveals there was no breakdown on Oakland's part. Hunter Jerry DePoyster fielded the ball cleanly and got it away. Henry Davis simply made a great defensive play. With Pittsburgh ahead now 7-0, Oakland's troubles were just beginning. The next series, Stabler had trouble holding on to the ball. Though he recovered his own fumble, the Raiders didn't retain possession for long. Number 59, Jack Ham, continued the defensive virtuosity with an interception that gave Pittsburgh the ball on the Oakland 35. Here, for the first time today, offensive football took over. Terry Bradshaw bulleted a pass over the middle to rookie tight end John McMakin, number 89, who made a diving catch at the Raider 20. Then Terry Bradshaw, on a design play, plowed straight ahead through a gaping hole cleared by his line, broke 2 tackles, and danced into the end zone with Pittsburgh's second score. This is just one of the things that makes young Bradshaw so dangerous to defense. Pittsburgh up by 2 touchdowns. Ken Stabler came out throwing. He avoided a hard Steeler rush and put the ball right into and out of the hands of Ray Chester. Chuck Beatty had his second interception. The Steelers had the ball on the enemy 45, and the Pittsburgh secondary seemed to have answered the doubts about their strength. Four plays later, at the beginning of the second quarter, Roy Gerala, with Terry Hanratty holding, kicked a 40-yard field goal to give Pittsburgh a 17-0 lead. He's got perhaps the finest throwing arm in the NFL, of course, but at 6'3", 215 pounds, he's big enough, tough enough, and certainly more than willing enough to run over you. Bradshaw's rampant enthusiasm is matched by the affection of the Pittsburgh fans for him, and today everybody loved Terry. Four plays later, at the beginning of the second quarter, Roy Gerala, with Terry Hanratty holding, kicked a 40-yard field goal to give Pittsburgh a 17-0 lead. That was it for the offense, for the game reverted to the comedy of errors of the early minutes of the first period. Each team seemed to be seeking new ways of giving up the ball. First, George Atkinson, number 43, swiped a Bradshaw pass and returned it 23 yards. Then on the very next play, Stabler passed to Don Highsmith, who made a nice catch, then quickly negated it. Jack Ham's recovery gave the ball to Pittsburgh only temporarily, though. For several plays later, rookie running back Steve Davis coughed it up to Oakland. Finally, John Madden made the expected change, and 45-year-old George Blanda entered the game. But on his first play, the birthday boy handed Pittsburgh a gift. Number 84, Tony Klein's quick reflexes gave Oakland the ball on their own 46 and gave George Blanda a second opportunity. He made the most of it. 2 plays later, Blanda arched a beautiful pass to Chester again. The agile tight end stepped into the end zone for Oakland's first touchdown of the new season. A Smith 8-yard loss. A repeat reveals a perfect play by one of pro football's premier linebackers. Andy Russell, number 34, fought off Gene Upshaw's block, kept his feet, and made the play. Forced a punt. A high snap from center eluded DePoyster. DePoyster eluded Ralph Anderson, number 49, and got off a 10-yard punt. The ball struck teammate Dan Connors, number 55, on the shoulder and headed back toward the Steeler goal. Connors retrieved the ball and headed away from the Steelers' end zone. Net result, minus 23 yards of field position. Given a great starting point from the Raiders 7, Bradshaw surprisingly went to the air 3 times, and 3 times came up empty, though it was not all his doing. Dave Smith's drop brought on Roy Gerala, and he towed through a 20-7 Steeler lead. On the Steelers' next possession, Bradshaw used his backs exclusively. Preston Pearson, number 26, carried 5 consecutive times as the Steelers ate up the Raider defensive line, huge chunks of hardened turf, and much of the clock. Then Bradshaw went back to the air and hit number 1 draft pick Franco Harris swinging out of the backfield. It is a Steeler strength that all their backs are excellent receivers. From the 2, watch a great block by Pittsburgh center Ray Mansfield, number 56, spring Bradshaw for his second touchdown of the day. The Steelers had controlled the ball and controlled the game, 27-7 after 3 quarters. LaMonica spotted rookie wide receiver Mike Ciani, number 49, from 24 yards out. The Steelers' old pass defense nemesis had popped up again. With 10 minutes to go, the Raiders trailed by less than 2 touchdowns. But here the Steelers proved that this may indeed be their year. It took the Steelers just 4 plays to go 75 yards, with Bradshaw hitting number 25, Ron Shanklin, for a 57-yard score and a reaffirmed 20-point lead. While all eyes had been following the flight of the ball, the pass and the catch brought on different reactions. At one end of the play, Bradshaw had been belted as he released the ball, and he left the field in pain. Shanklin had not been touched, yet he rang up the score and received his due accolades. Callan was forced to interfere with Branch to stop LaMonica's perfect pass. Don Highsmith, number 32, brought the Raiders to within 13, but now only 5 minutes remained. On target to Ciani, this time for 70 yards, and the rookie had 2 scores in his first game as a pro. For his third of the game, LaMonica had completed 8 out of 10 for 172 yards and 2 touchdowns, and now faced only a 6-point deficit with a minute and a half left. Oakland tried an onside kick and nearly got the ball again. Pearson recovered the bouncing ball and the Steelers were safe. A repeat shows how close the Raiders had come. DePoyster's kick headed toward Brian Stenger, number 61, who went to his knees to make a safe recovery. But when Jeff Queen, number 47, slammed into him, the race was on. Pearson got a good bounce, and the Steelers had a vice grip on the game. The Steelers successfully ran off the last seconds and had taken the first step toward their first division championship ever. Win over AFC West Division power Oakland will go a long way in building the confidence that's needed as week after week teams take their shot. Raider head coach John Madden knows only too well what life at the top is like. The Steelers can now savor the feeling, but ahead lie 13 games, a long, tough NFL season. If today's game is any indication of the action and excitement that wait ahead, then for the Steelers, the Raiders, and every other NFL team, 1972 is going to be one heck of a year.
The Pittsburgh Steelers claim to have what it takes this year. A large part of that claim is based on the proposed maturation of big blonde Terry Bradshaw, a quarterback on the threshold of full potential. Last week, Oakland countered with its own golden boy, Kenny Snake Stabler, the youngest of 3 Raider quarterbacks and a surprise starter. Early in the game, Bradshaw worried Steeler fans with wild, unpredictable behavior, which marred his first 2 years in the league. While Bradshaw struggled to settle down, Stabler was snake-bit from the start. When his teammates caught the ball, they fumbled. When they didn't, Steeler defensive backs did, as Stabler threw 3 interceptions in the first period. Whatever Stabler's problems were, they seemed to be highly contagious. Bradshaw also had 3 early interceptions, and the Steelers' special teams did their part to spread the epidemic of shoddy ball handling as Henry Davis, number 53, gathered in a gift touchdown. Pittsburgh had 7 points, and Bradshaw had all the stability he needed as the quarterback of Steeler dreams emerged. Down by 14, Oakland countered the enthusiasm of youth with the guile of age as creaky George Blanda, number 16, unlimbered to Ray Chester. But by now, there was no stopping Bradshaw and his favorite play. Suddenly, the established roles were reversing themselves. The usually meticulous silver and black machine became wild and unpredictable, and Bradshaw took on the look of a seasoned old pro. A skyrocket to flying Ronnie Shanklin put the Steelers up by 20 points, and the desperate Raiders went to their bench again. This time they came up with a red-hot combination. Darryl LaMonica and number 49, rookie Mike Ciani, staged a torrid fourth quarter comeback with 2 touchdown combinations. The second good for 70 yards. But the Raiders had waited too long. The clock ran out on a 34-28 Pittsburgh victory. For the second straight year, the Pride and Poise boys will have to dig out from a demoralizing season-opening defeat. As for Terry and his Pirates, their season starts with a slogan which is brand new to Pittsburgh Steelers fans: wait till this year.
The Cincinnati Bengals think they can run on anybody, and maybe they're right. But sometimes the ball gets slippery. Last week in rainy Riverfront Stadium, Terry Bradshaw took advantage of 2 Cincinnati fumbles to run up a 10-3 halftime lead over the frustrated Bengals. Bradshaw's touchdown was to be the only one in a game dominated by 10 punts and 8 fumbles, which set up almost all of the scoring in the game. Terry Bradshaw had a game reminiscent of his rookie season. Bradshaw's futility was best exemplified by one series of downs in the fourth quarter. First down at the Cincinnati 4-yard line. Second down at the Cincinnati 20-yard line. And third down at the Cincinnati 25-yard line. For Cincinnati, meanwhile, no touchdowns at all. Just 5 for 5 from West German Horst Muhlmann, and a hard-fought 15-10 victory for first place in the AFC Central. Sporting a 1-1 record, the St. Louis Cardinals were primed to explode against the Steelers. Unfortunately for the Cardinals, their first bomb proved a dud when number 81 Jackie Smith was ruled guilty of offensive interference. Smith didn't like it, and Pittsburgh obviously didn't like Smith. Then the Steeler defense went to work. They blew down St. Louis sweeps and hounded their quarterbacks into making ill-advised scrambles. The alert Steelers forced their own breaks. Safety Ralph Anderson picked off a deflection and burned upfield. Behind textbook blocking, Pittsburgh quarterback Terry Bradshaw threw a textbook pass that flanker Dave Smith couldn't read. The one thing Bradshaw could rely on was his own knack of improvisation, and his ad-lib plays have become a vital part of the Steeler offense. Pittsburgh coupled this soaring touchdown by Bradshaw with 2 more points when they trapped St. Louis punter Donnie Anderson in the end zone. But Anderson came back to sting the Steelers with a slashing touchdown that cut the Pittsburgh lead. Trailing 18-12 in the final quarter, the Cardinal defense, led by Dale Hackbart, met the Steelers head-on. With just more than 3 minutes to play, number 43, Norm Thompson, blocked Bobby Walden's punt and carried the Cardinals to a 19-18 lead. Then, with just over a minute to play, Terry Bradshaw found Frank Lewis completely unguarded, and Lewis loped in with a winning score. For Pittsburgh, their electric come-from-behind 25-19 victory was a solid stepping stone in their determined quest for the AFC Central Division Championship.
Quarterback Craig Morton was often backed by superb protection, but often his passes wobbled woefully off target. Finally, Cowboy mistakes provided Pittsburgh with a score when Bob Hayes' fumble was speared in midair by Mel Blount, who raced to a touchdown. With the Steelers leading 13-3, Dallas rallied with 2 touchdowns, one on a Calvin Hill dive, and led 17-13 late in the last quarter. With time waning, very strange things began to happen. Within fingertips of a touchdown, Frank Lewis dropped Bradshaw's perfect pass, and Steeler hopes seemed lost. But with 1:45 left, Bradshaw received a second chance, and even weirder things occurred. First, Bradshaw was blindsided, but Franco Harris recovered his fumble and sped to the Cowboy 3. Unfortunately for Pittsburgh, a holding penalty nullified the play and opened the way for more strange happenings. Just 3 plays later, on 4th down, Bradshaw's desperation pass was intercepted by Cornell Green. This time, a Dallas penalty canceled Green's trip to a touchdown. Bradshaw then drove Pittsburgh to the Dallas 33, and with just seconds remaining, he threw a prayer that Frank Lewis caught just out of bounds. In one of the strangest games ever played, the Dallas Cowboys lucked out a 17-13 victory over the snake-bitten Steelers.
Pittsburgh quarterback Terry Bradshaw is smiling because the Steelers are in the thick of the AFC Central Division race and have a shot at their first division title in their history. An all-purpose Bradshaw has been a major factor in the Steeler title drive, but early in their game versus Houston, the Steeler drive gears were not meshing. The Oilers gushed first when Ward Walsh, number 32, blocked a Steeler punt, and then outraced his teammates for it in a 7-0 Houston lead. Houston's hopes ride on their fine young quarterback, Dante Pastorini, number 7. But he does not have the supporting cast that Bradshaw has. On this day, he could manage just 40 yards passing as the Steeler defense blanketed his receivers and ate up his pocket time. Five times the Steelers sacked Pastorini for minus 40 yards to set the Oilers' net passing yardage for the game at an even 0. The Oilers' only threat was number 39, Robert Holmes, and the tank was at his steels treaded best. The The Steelers are much deeper at running back. Frenchie Fuqua, number 33, picked up 43 yards of a 60-yard drive that led to a Steeler field goal. Then first-round draft pick Franco Harris, number 32, carried 10 times for 46 yards of a 65-yard drive. Franco Harris had his first 100-yard day as a pro, capping it with a short touchdown plunge. Bradshaw then turned to his third starting running back. Bradshaw's 8-yard run was his 5th rushing touchdown of 1972. And his 11-yard pass to Frank Lewis, number 43, rounded out the Steelers' scoring. The Steelers' 24-7 victory over Houston kept them a game behind Cincinnati in the AFC Central Division, with a defense that did not allow a touchdown, and Bradshaw showing the way with his passing and running. That title may yet come Pittsburgh's way. It's a shame the field in Buffalo isn't a synthetic. If it were, one of Buffalo's own fans could have swept aside the rain, a man known as the Human Broom. Actually, both fan and players alike couldn't believe their eyes at some of the goings-on between the Bills and the Steelers. At times, the teams were ferocious gladiators, giving lessons in the art of decapitation. At other times, they fought like ladies in a supermarket with the last loaf of bread at stake. In fact, the ball was up for grabs for much of the game, and the Bills gave their hometown crowd an exciting if losing performance. Although the Bills are 2-5, they do have talent, particularly on offense. There's quarterback Dennis Shaw and receiver Bob Chandler, number 81, who acts like an unhappy kid when he doesn't score. Chandler did score twice against the Steelers, but he probably wasn't too happy about what he had to pay to catch this one. Then there's O.J. Heisman. Number 32 had his biggest day as a pro last Sunday. This 94-yard score was only one-half his total. Simpson had 189 for the game, which gave him nearly 700 yards for the season and the conference lead. But the Bills should have run O.J. on every play, where their downfall came when they tried to pass. To him, really, or almost anyone else. The Steelers' defense picked off 4 passes against Buffalo, giving them 18 for the year, the highest in the NFL. And one of the prime reasons they are 5-2, their best 7-game mark in a quarter of a century. It seems that all phases of the Steeler attack are literally in mid-season form. Their defense has always been formidable, and now even their special teams are well-oiled, as this kickoff return by rookie Steve Davis graphically illustrated. And the Steeler offense has uncovered some new ingots, one of whom is Pittsburgh's own number 32, Franco Harris, here following guard Bruce Van Dyke. The Steeler blocking has been superb all season. This time, watch left guard Sam Davis as he cracks open another hole for Harris to consume. Harris is the 230-pound rookie from Penn State, who started the season on the bench, will be hard to dislodge now. This was his best day yet, gaining 140 yards and scoring 3 touchdowns. His last score came on a pass from Terry Bradshaw. Harris left prematurely with the game ball, and Pittsburgh left Buffalo with a 38-21 victory to remain tied now for the lead in the AFC Central. Two teams that had their problems last season have emerged from the woods this season to battle for their division title. Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh was the site of the Steelers-Bengals clash to determine a division leader, as both teams showed up 5-2. Earlier this season, Cincinnati beat the Steelers 15-10, but they've been looking over their shoulders ever since. The character of the game was determined from the outset. On Cincinnati's first play from scrimmage, Ken Anderson and Doug Dressler slopped up a handoff, and Dwight White recovered on the Bengals 7. In a critical game for both teams, Pittsburgh got the first break and cashed in on the very next play, Johnny Fuqua doing the cashing. Too often in the past, the Steeler defense had created breaks that went unfulfilled by an inconsistent offense. But this season, the Steelers are a complete team. And now, when the defense holdeth, the offense moveth the ball. Later in the first period, Glenn Edwards returned 54 yards to set up a field goal. Leading 10-0, the defense held again, and Steeler quarterback Terry Bradshaw went after more. Frank Lewis's great catch was out of bounds, and another field goal resulted. On their next drive, the Steelers would go all the way. Number 1 draft pick Franco Harris accounted for 56 yards of a 4-play, 84-yard drive. The last 28 were garnered when Bradshaw spotted Lewis again, this time safely in bounds. By halftime, the Steeler lead ballooned to 26-0 when Bradshaw threw his second touchdown pass to tight end Larry Brown, ridiculously wide open in the middle of the Bengals secondary. Only once in the first half did Cincinnati threaten. Late in the half, Anderson passes began to move the Bengals. With a first down on the 9, Anderson spotted Essex Johnson, number 19. Unfortunately, he failed to notice Steeler middle linebacker Henry Davis. The Steelers lead the NFL in interceptions this season, an improvement in the one area that has long haunted them. Trailing by 26 at the half, the Bengals needed a drastic change. So for the second half, Paul Brown inserted Virgil Carter, number 11, at quarterback. And Carter found success using play action and rollout passes. Carter finally spotted Chip Myers, number 25, to set up one score, and later hit him for a touchdown. But Cincinnati's 14 third-quarter points were quickly negated by the Steeler offense. Bradshaw's third touchdown pass and Lewis's second scoring catch put the Steelers out of Bengal reach, and in the fourth quarter, the Steelers ran away and hid. A 31-yard burst by Harris set up his short touchdown plunge as the Steelers ran up 40 points. Harris rushed for 101 yards, the third time in 4 weeks that the big rookie runner has hit the century mark. Trailing 40-17, Carter's only recourse was to throw, and the Steelers, aware of his plight, stormed in. Having thoroughly bounced their closest pursuers, the Steelers are indeed looking like the team to beat in the AFC Central Division. Only one team in all of the NFL has scored more points than the Steelers, while only 4 teams have given up fewer points. This great blend of defense and offense has everyone in Pittsburgh smiling as the Steelers near their first division title ever.
Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania was the site of the Steelers-Chiefs game, a game in which the lead in 2 divisions of the AFC was in jeopardy. In Pittsburgh this season, everyone loves the Steelers, as Chuck Noll's Young Toughs, with a 6-2 record, are off to their best start in 4 decades. Last week, they took a monumental step toward their first division title ever with their most impressive victory of the season, a 40-17 pasting of the Bengals. Terry Bradshaw, number 12, leads a Steelers offense that in 6 winning games this season has averaged over 35 points a game. 16-year veteran Len Dawson also has an explosive offense, but he'll be tested by a Steeler defense that has given up the 4th fewest points in the NFL, so he's polishing up new delivery skills. Dawson leads an offense capable of the big play or the ball control drive. Hank Stram's Chiefs are also coming off their most impressive victory of the year. Last week, they beat arch-rival Oakland to take first place in their division, a big step for them if they hope to repeat as division titleists. So, there are war drums on the Monongahela, as a loss for either will put that team's first-place status in jeopardy. Oodles of time, but the Steelers secondary had his receivers smothered. And that's the story in Pittsburgh this season. On the rare occasions that the line does not pressure, the defensive backs play tough. Pittsburgh's defensive backs have long been suspect, but not so this season. John Rouser, Mel Blount, Ralph Anderson, and Mike Wagner are a big reason for Pittsburgh's success thus far, and with help from their linebackers, Pittsburgh leads the NFL in interceptions. Pittsburgh's defense was jamming the Chiefs so well that they would not get outside their own 40 except when set up by the defense, as Sensabaugh's interception had done. Late in the first quarter, the Steelers' offense finally began to move. The Steeler offensive line, Kolb, Davis, Mansfield, Van Dyke, and Mullins, is another Steeler unit come of age. Watch Van Dyke, number 66, clear out Curly Culp, number 61, to give Fuqua room. Good running by Franco Harris and John Fuqua carried to the Chief 38, but Fuqua's hands proved to be not as effective as his feet. On 3rd and 5, Puke was dropped, meant a field goal try by Roy Girella. Girella, the NFL's leading scorer, is as much responsible for Pittsburgh's lofty rank as anyone. For when the Steelers get close but can't get the touchdown, he usually puts points on the board. But he didn't this time, as his reaction will show. So each team had possession 3 times, but in the defense-dominated game, the score stood 0-0. Second and third down sacks, this one by Joe Green and Dwight White, left this possession at minus 15 yards. And on the Chiefs' last possession of the half, White nailed Dawson again, this ball possession yielding minus 9 yards. Dawson was caught 4 times for 41 yards, as the Chiefs' offense gained just 25 net yards in the first half. Wilson was twice forced to punt with less than a 15-yard drop back, but his boomers, this one for 65 yards, kept Pittsburgh from getting great field position. New Steeler George Webster's block on teammate Glenn Edwards didn't help Pittsburgh's field position either. It was Kansas City that scored. Safety Jim Kearney stepped in front of a Bradshaw bullet and returned 65 yards. It was fitting that a half so dominated by defense would see the only score come on a defense. Kansas City led 7-0. Trailing 7-0, the Steelers came out for the second half determined to establish a running game. And on their first series, Franco Harris, number 32, and the Steelers line did just that. Harris was held to 15 yards in the first half, but he would begin an onslaught on the Chiefs' defense with this 45-yard burst to the Chiefs' 20. Most of the Steeler runs were up the middle or to their left. When they tried to go right, Bobby Bell was waiting. It was now 3rd and 12. Bradshaw got 11 of it on a keeper. So on 4th and 1, the Steelers decided to go for it. But confusion caused a delay of game penalty. It was now 4th and 6, so Girella came in and hit for 3. The penalty may have cost them a touchdown, but they were on the board, now trailing 7-3. Particularly Ham, number 59, were all over the field, quickly reacting to Dawson's short passing game. Nor were the Chiefs able to spring their big gun Otis Taylor, either as a receiver or on the end around that has worked so well for the Chiefs in the past. Pittsburgh's defense, one of the best in the league statistically this year, was proving that they are indeed to be feared. NFL quarterback, Bradshaw gives the offense a strong and aggressive third runner who can take his shots, get up, and go again. This extra dimension on offense has been a big reason for the Steelers' success. Watch Bradshaw break 3 tackles here before Willie Lanier bear hugged Bradshaw down. Having had enough, Bradshaw then gave to the other big reason the Steelers are where they are, rookie Franco Harris. Harris, as a pure runner, has to already contend with a Simpson, a Brockington, even a Larry Brown. He has some of each of them. Quickness, power, and most of all, tremendous balance and strength in his legs. Able to break tacklers, the likes of Willie Lanier. Able to run over smaller cornerbacks like Mike Sensabaugh and other supposed sure tacklers in a secondary. Harris has a long future in the NFL. Harris's great effort was the last on this drive and set up a second Roy Girella field goal, a chip shot from 10 yards. The Steelers closed the gap to 1, down 7-6. Watch number 68, L.C. Greenwood, strip his block, then bust the ball loose from Ed Podolak. The Chiefs will appear to recover the fumble, but watch the ball as it trickles away and the Steeler defender recovers. Ed Podolak, a hero a week ago against Oakland, was having his problems against the Steelers, while Jack Ham, the man who recovered, was not yet finished with his heroics. So the Steelers had their first big break of the second half, and Bradshaw this time tried to pass his way to the goal. But the Chiefs denied Terry and the Steelers any gains on 3 straight downs, and Girella would again come in, this time from 49 yards out. We isolated Girella on the attempt, and his reaction will give you the result. You might think the Steelers had just won the division championship the way they mobbed Girella after his three-pointer. Maybe they knew something, for Girella's third three-pointer had given Pittsburgh a 9-7 lead with 5 minutes left. First play after the field goal, the Steelers regained possession. Jim Otis's fumble was recovered by Jack Ham again, and Ham would set it up for his former teammate from Penn State to finish off Kansas City. Franco Harris played in the shadow of All-American Lydell Mitchell at State, but the Steelers scouts deemed Harris a better pro prospect and drafted him before Mitchell. They were well advised. Mitchell has not even played for a losing team, the Colts, while Harris is burning up the league. This run put him over 100 yards for the 4th time in the 5 games he started. 2 plays later, he took a pitch out, stripped number 99 Wilbur Young's attempted high tackle, rolled over safety Jim Kearney's attempted low tackle, and jogged in for a touchdown. The Steelers now led 16-7. With 3 minutes left, the Steelers would have a chance to hammer the final nails into the Chiefs' coffin when Dawson threw into the NFL's leading secondary, and safety Glenn Edwards, a second-year player from Florida A&M, intercepted. Like the Dolphins, the Steelers' defense is stacked with youth, sprinkled with a few veterans, and characterized by aggressiveness. From here, Harris tried to run out the final 2 minutes, but failed. Because of his unwillingness to fold, Harris may have a tendency to fumble, and the Chiefs got a break when they recovered Harris's fumble. The lateral after the fumble was no good, but of even more concern was the fact that Bradshaw limped off the field. He would be all right, but Chuck Noll was now intently watching the Chiefs' offense with 1.5 minutes to play. And Dawson just had no one to go to. It was more than fitting that the game ended with Dawson on his back, the victim of another Who's He defender, rookie Craig Hanneman, number 67. For this victory had to be the high water mark for the Steeler defense. Chuck Noll's 11 angry souls had shut out the Chiefs' offense without even a field goal for the first time in eons. Now 7-2, Chuck Noll's team is made up of high draft choices and veterans. He has changed his offense to a short game attack around Franco Harris and Bradshaw, and forged a defense that can no longer be considered a fluke. The Steelers no longer smell just the smoke of the steel mills. There's a sweeter aroma in Pittsburgh now, the smell of victory and a championship.
In Pittsburgh this season, excitement comes under a new trademark, Steelers 72. And those concerned with the image were anxious to show the Kansas City Chiefs what it all meant. It means new enthusiasm for the game, a 6-2 record, and a now mature young quarterback named Terry Bradshaw with his rifle-crack right arm. But this Bradshaw hotshot was cut off by number 46 Jim Kearney, as the more experienced Chief defense cooled down the fire of Steelers 72 and took a 7-0 halftime lead. In the past, this was a cue for the patented Pittsburgh fold-up. But this year, the young Bucks in gold and black have felt the spirit of Steelers 72, and they do believe. Terry Bradshaw believes, and this year he seems to be surrounded with new converts. Especially devout is first-year running back Franco Harris, number 32. But the Steelers' second-half revival was not confined to the attack. Kansas City's vaunted offense of the 70s could not get untracked against Pittsburgh's swarming ball hawkers. Hawking a ball requires emotion. Whomever wants it the worst usually gets it. A swarm of black shirts wanted this one very badly. Linebacker Jack Ham recovered 2 Chief fumbles and provided field position for the folk hero of Steelers 72. Jarrella's Gorillas include all Pittsburgh fans who can relate to a thin little man who does nothing more than swing his right leg to earn a living. Number 10, Roy Jarrella, sent his Gorillas into ecstasy with 3 second-half field goals. The last a career best from 49 yards out. Jarrella is living the dream of a forsaken field goal kicker. 2 years ago, the Houston Oilers cut him outright. Today, he's the leading scorer on a championship contender. Jarrella's much appreciated contribution to the cause gave Pittsburgh a 9-7 fourth-quarter lead, with nothing left to do but grind up the clock. Franco Harris did that all right, and along the way, he ground up a few would-be Kansas City tacklers in one of the most amazing performances of this or any other year. Harris's powerful strides took him 134 yards. The 4th time in 5 games he's gone over the 100-yard mark. So far, Steelers 72 has been an unqualified success. The 16-7 victory over Kansas City left Pittsburgh in a position they've not held since 1947. 7-2 in all